Shalom, everybody. Coming at you from Israel, here at the Anchors of Hope. Before I continue with this episode, for those of you who have been following the news and are aware of what is happening in this part of the world, as you know, we are at war. We're at war with some will call it the modern day Haman, as tomorrow is the holiday of Purim, celebrating 2,500 years since the attempted annihilation of the Jewish people of Persia. And here we are once again confronted with a similar enemy, if you will. And it's tough. Nobody wants war. We all want to live in peace and quiet, but sometimes war is necessary. So we've been in and out of the bomb shelter for the last several days. Thank God for the Israel Defense Forces and our boys and girls out there, our children, who are defending our existence, our right to exist. And the resiliency that outshines, or shall I say, spreads light beyond the darkness that we are faced with. And that is our reality as we come about this holiday of Purim tomorrow evening and into Tuesday. It's Monday evening into Tuesday. We'll see what happens if we're able to celebrate as we normally do. But though these are challenging times, they are certainly historic because the opportunity, the potential for this region to realize its greatness and live in a space of audacious hope can become real, not just for us here in Israel, but around the region, including Iranians themselves who deserve to live as a free people. And that is my hope. And now on to this episode 17, here at the Anchors of Hope. It's the journey within one step and one soul. This episode shifts from the communal and national frameworks of previous episodes into the intimate, personal dimension of hope, the inner journey that makes all our outer journeys possible. The metrics of hope framework only works if the individual doing the work, doing the measuring, has done the inner work, the healing of self. And before you can be an ancestor worth remembering, you have to be present enough to know who you actually are. There's a Chinese proverb that teaches the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But what they don't always tell you is that the hardest step to take isn't just the first one that takes you forward. It's actually the one that turns you inward. We talk a great deal in Jewish life about cheshbon nefesh, self-reflection, or literally an accounting of the soul. The Musar masters, or there's a Musar movement of the 19th century, built an entire spiritual discipline around it. Not self-flagellation, not shame, but an honest inventory. But here's the uncomfortable truth that most of us avoid. We face the same challenges over and over again, not because life keeps sending them, but because something within us keeps summoning them. The Talmud teaches a person is shown only what is in their own thoughts. This is in Tractate Berachot. Our outer reality often mirrors our inner unresolved territory. You know, they say how you feel inside is how you look outside. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidut, or Jewish mysticism incorporated into Jewish life, would say that the obstacles we encounter are not walls or barriers. They are doors. They are doors with mirrors on them. You can keep knocking on the door, frustrated, or you can pause long enough to look at what the mirror is showing you. It's that pause, that willingness to look inside of you, which is an act of profound courage. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov called it hitbodedut, loosely translated as being alone with yourself. And he prescribed it daily, acted on it daily, in nature if possible, speaking to God in your own language, in your own voice, about what is actually happening inside of you. Not liturgy or prayer out of a prayer book, not performance of any sort of formal way, just truth, just blatant, authentic honesty. In our age of constant noise, notifications, obligations, curated identities on social media, silence has become almost subversive. To sit with yourself without distraction is to risk meeting the version of yourself that lives beneath the mask you wear, or the masks you wear. And here's the paradox. That unmasked self, the one you've been avoiding, is almost more worthy of love and attention than the one you perform for the world, the mask you wear to the outside world, for all those around you to see. The seclusion Reb Nachman prescribed isn't necessarily an escape. It's actually an investment. It's time spent in honest, authentic self-reflection, which is compounding. It compounds the way wisdom compounds. It's the person who invests 20, 30 minutes a day in genuine self-examination that builds a different kind of wealth, a deeper understanding, a wealth of knowledge, of self-knowledge, that no external crisis nor distraction can ever take away. It is a realization, a discovery. There is this question that's posed by the sages who say, what holds you back? What delays you? And the answer is often that, well, if we're being honest, the answer is us. We are holding ourselves back. We are delaying ourselves from moving forward in that journey that life offers us. It's not our circumstances, it's not our enemies, it's not the timing of things, nor anyone else for that matter. It's us. We decide. The great Hasidic teacher, Reb Simcha Bunim, taught that every person must carry 2 slips of paper, one in each pocket. One reads, "For my sake the world was created," and the other reads, "I am but dust and ashes." The art of the journey is knowing which pocket to reach into and when. When we are trapped in our own patterns, returning to the same relationships, the same self-defeating behaviors, the same rationalizations, it is usually because we have forgotten how to reach into both pockets. We are either inflated with ego that cannot be questioned, we know what's right, the world revolves around us, or we're deflated by shame that cannot be released, a failure that we allow to weigh us down and distract us from moving forward, from healing, from discovering and revealing answers to difficult questions. Healing the broken places within us requires holding both truths at once. I am worthy of transformation, and I have work to do. The Israeli author David Grossman, upon who his writing I named this podcast Anchors of Hope, and whose work anchors so much of our exploration throughout our podcasts, he writes about characters who must learn to stop reaching and simply be present in the life they have. Not the life they imagined, not the life they are performing for others, but the actual life. In this actual body that we are born into, with these actual wounds that we carry, and these actual gifts that we are either born with or given. There is a word in Hebrew, tamimut, often translated as wholeness or sincerity, but more precisely it means something like undefended authenticity. The person who is tam, whole, is not without wounds. They are simply no longer ashamed of them. They have embraced who they are. The Talmud teaches that the world was created for the sake of tamimut, for the possibility that a human being could live without the exhausting of armor present to protect them from the chaos in the world. To remove this mask isn't a weakness. It is, in fact, the bravest act available to us. And it is the foundation of everything else we've explored together in this podcast, in this series, in these episodes. You cannot build lasting community from behind a mask. You cannot raise the next generation with vision if you're performing rather than actually being. You cannot anchor others if you yourself are untethered. And so the journey of 1,000 miles, it begins with one step. But most importantly, the most important step is often the one you take into the room of your own interior, coming into yourself, doing your own self-reflection, your accounting of self, into the silence of that self, into the honest accounting, into the courageous vulnerability, how difficult it is to be vulnerable when you can say to yourself, I am not yet who I am meant to be, and I am willing to do the work. It is simply this. What are you carrying that is not yours to carry anymore? And what have you been leaving behind that is actually the most essential part of you? These are difficult questions and challenging exercises that we all must conduct in one time or another throughout our own lives, throughout our own journeys. And so my hope is that you find the courage to be vulnerable, to be authentic to self, to becoming the best version of yourself, and knowing that it begins with that first step. It's not something that you just snap with a finger and it happens. So I want to take this opportunity to once again thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your comments. Thank you for sharing these episodes with your friends and your circles, your networks. And let us continue to pray for peace and quiet here in Israel and around the world, specifically in this region and by extension everywhere else, wherever you are, sending you love and light. I want to thank you once again for joining me here at the Anchors of Hope. And until next time, may your journey, your entire journey, the outer and the inner part of it, be one of blessing. Until next time, everyone, love and light.